Chat GP Dent, who has been filling in as my fact checker all week. Was this a title you expected, Jonathan?
No.
Is it a title that you like?
No.
There's lots of things that I say that you don't like.
I don't have artificial intelligence. I've got the real deal.
That is true, but
Yeah.
I've heard some of the things that come out of your mouth. Sometimes that is artificial intelligence in its own way. So, folks, we're going to take calls this hour. Anything you'd like to discuss, and I will give a few ideas of some things that I'm seeing that are on my mind. But as usual, the number here is 989-752-6111. Again, 989-752-6111. Jonathan, one that I saw that really kind of caught my attention is the government shutdown is impacting nationwide air travel now. Mm-hmm. The Trump administration through the FAA came out yesterday and said that they're going to cut flights down in 40 major markets by 10% in order to ease congestion and recognize that there are problems with the air traffic controllers right now and making sure that the skies are safe. I literally, one of the spots that I go to daily to look at news and just kind of see what's going on is the Drudge Report. And one of the literal lines, one of the main headlines on Drudge right now says, "Fly at your own risk." What do you think when you hear the shutdown, impacting to the point where they're cutting flights in the 40 major markets? So picture, clearly it's going to be New York, Chicago, Detroit, LA, Miami. We could go through the 40 and probably name 35 of them, right? What do you think when you hear that?
Well, first of all, I don't expect that kind of headline out of Drudge. That's interesting to see from them. Whether it's sensationalized or not, they're not usually the sensationalizing type on the Drudge Report.
So I'll tell you, I've been a Drudge follower for a long time, and for folks who don't know, Drudge, they post actual news articles that you can find from across the world. So it's just not like Matt Drudge just giving some random opinion. But what I like is that they will often post articles or highlight things before mainstream media does.
Yep.
A couple where they got big was the Monica Lewinsky scandal in 1998. They were the first to report on that, and that really is kind of what created the Drudge Report, Matt Drudge, into what he is today because he reported it before anyone else. I remember before COVID, you remember the H1N1 issue? So, there's a lot of different things. They were calling it swine flu, Mexican swine flu, all these different things that came with it, right? But they started reporting that weeks in advance of mainstream media. And so even myself, I was following, I'm like, wow, this doesn't look good. It looks like something's coming. Mm-hmm. And I always find it interesting because they post a lot of these articles before. And when I say mainstream, I'm talking ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox News. They report before them. Those four major mediums are maybe a little bit more conservative in their take, and they want to triple fact check, and they, even if there's any doubt that they have in their mind, they really don't print generally. They're really slow to go. And so Drudge tries to get out front on this, and that's what caught my attention. They're out front at, not everyone's reporting the 10%, but they're reporting literally on the safety of flying. So for those of you that are out there that are thinking about calling in, if you have a flight upcoming, does this give you second thoughts? Are you concerned about it? Is this something that you might say, you know what, during a government shutdown and air traffic control not having the staffing levels they need and kind of the issues, do you still feel safe?
ATC's been understaffed for years, haven't they? That's been an ongoing conversation of traffic controllers being overworked for a long time and concerns about that.
We still don't know the full details. A lot of conjecture still of exactly what happened in Washington earlier this year at National Airport, which I used to live in that area, and I've flown into National in and out of it hundreds of times, literally. It's an airport that I know well. And what it's kind of known for, Jonathan, it really only has a north-south runway because it's on the river. There's no big east-west runway. So you're either coming down the Potomac one way or the other. And, it's normal when you're in D.C. When I was in my 20s, one of the things that I loved to do, I played on the Capital Area Network softball team, and I was on the Michigan State team. And you would play alumni from other schools across the country, and you would play basically under the Washington Monument on these fields. It was so fun, and it was everything you envisioned about being in your 20s, living in D.C., we're playing Georgetown today. Oh, we're playing Penn State today. It was a blast, right? Mm-hmm. And there were probably like 50 teams that were in the league. After a game, everyone would head over to the bar and have a cocktail, and it would be great. But the part that I always remember is Marine One coming in and over the Capitol Mall all the time. And when Marine One comes in, it generally doesn't come in as one Marine One. It comes in like 3 of them at a time, so you don't know which one the president's in. Heck, maybe the president isn't in them. I actually even had a friend that was, he lived in D.C., and his roommate lived in the basement, and his roommate was a Secret Service officer, and he was a sharpshooter on the roof of the White House. Ooh. And so he had an interesting job, but he would tell us, he goes, yeah, sometimes, you'd see Marine One with those 3 coming in. He goes, that's a joke. The president was in a limo, with a couple of cars, and it was really incognito, so they kind of throw you off. But the reason I bring that up is in D.C., it was normal to see military traffic all around that commercial airport. So when I saw that happen, I was like, gosh, that was just kind of a matter of time. But it does beg the question, geez, air traffic control, how did we not notice on our screens the helicopter coming straight across to a flight that's landing at a commercial airport at such a low altitude? It seemed like one of those things that should have been caught. And as usual, Jonathan, when something like this happens, it's generally not one mistake. It's a litany of mistakes.
There are so many redundancies in these systems.
Yeah. So I do worry about air traffic control, and that is definitely one thing. So if you want to call in with that, please let's have the discussion. I know our callers, Jonathan, they love politics, but you know what? If you want to talk movies, television shows, sports, if you want to totally throw us off and go in a different direction, we'd love it because we hear so much politics. Let's talk about some fun things today. Jonathan, what's on your mind?
I'll have a question for you after we get to this caller, though.
Okay.
We've got Mark in Midland on the line. Mark, good morning.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Good, Mark. How are you today?
Oh, not too bad. I'm looking to see if you can try to change the Republican mind on the shutdown as far as keeping it shut down. The what was that? The Affordable Care Act was under the Biden administration, I believe, and that has sunset as far as the subsidies under, the current administration. But why in the last administration wasn't that taken care of? Now that it's being used as a tool, a weaponized tool to fund the government, you're keeping families off of SNAP benefits from being fed. You got people in the aviation unable to get paid. So can you convince a Republican as to why and not to fund the continued resolution funding where it's at now and negotiate what should have been negotiated in the last administration, the health care? Why should the Republicans have voted 14 times to open up the government? Can you convince me as a Republican as to why this should continue?
Mark, you have opened Pandora's box. Can I convince you? I doubt it. It's a hard world in which we see things on the opposite side. I think it goes back to the fundamental difference between healthcare, whether one party sees it as a human right and something that the government should supply to all people no matter what. And I think other people see it as not a right, but a privilege, and that open competition is good for the marketplace. I guess I would, offer 2 things when I think about this, Mark. Number one, the problem of healthcare is that the system is just fundamentally broken. And it has nothing to do with Republicans or Democrats. I always kind of look at it as a car, Mark. So I'm sure, you have a vehicle, I'm assuming, right? You just don't drive it until the wheels fall off and the oil goes bad and the engine explodes. You go in, you get regular oil changes, you get your tires changed, you maintain that car. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, healthcare in America does not reward preventive medicine. We reward sick medicine. So if you want to get an insurance company or the government to offer a certain payback to a health system, it's done so because you had to do open heart surgery. It's done so because, someone's gallbladder went bad. You do so because someone's, morbidly obese and you're going to do one of those stomach procedures. we don't pay for healthcare based on, oh, look, I brought these 10 patients in and they're seeing a dietitian and they're taking care of themselves and they take the right medicines and they're in great shape and they didn't need all these procedures. And so we have a system that's so broken and we have so many people who are sick in this country, it's unsustainable. And I'll tell you, Mark, if you actually look at our healthcare systems across the country, they're failing right now. And the reason is the economics simply don't work. And so what's happened is something like the subsidies and the Affordable Care Act has become a political football. But at the end of the day, it's still not fixing the root problem that the entire American healthcare industry is broken as we know it and needs to be changed.
I'm going to push the issue here a little bit, Matt, though. Why is this political football being used as the sticking point when it comes to this government shutdown when there have been opportunities to do something about it prior to this?
Because government always waits to the last minute. I don't care if it's the state budget, the federal budget, this issue, you wait to the last minute and then you use it as your political piece. And Democrats are holding Republicans up based on the Affordable Care Act, and they want to see the health care subsidies continue. And so they're using it as their pressure point in the other direction. And they're saying, hey, you want a budget? Great. You're going to have to come and, work with us and compromise on this. So, Mark, your point's well taken. I would just say it's unfortunate that issues that impact people in their everyday lives, like healthcare, become political footballs used by both sides. So appreciate the call, but we have to go and take a break. We'll be back.
Are you overdue for...
What's the difference?
Well, I think there are cases where that happens, but I can tell you, I'm a guy that has to go under the knife next Tuesday. I'm getting arthroscopic surgery on a knee. Apparently, it's going to be a great time. My wife tells me I'm a big wuss and to just deal with it. She said, it's no worse than a colonoscopy. You go and they knock you out. You wake up, you're fine. You'll live, right? But it's one of those things, it had to go through the process. My knee started bothering me. I went in. They did an MRI. Approved. Not a problem. Came back. Showed the tear. They're going to do it. No problem. Generally, Carl, healthcare works fast. I can tell you from the time that I called and said, hey, my knee's bothering me, to the point that I have surgery will be about 1 month, which is pretty fast when you think about, doctor's appointments, follow-ups, MRIs. What you bring up definitely occurs, but I think it's rare. So I would contend, and this is where sometimes I feel like I don't have a home anymore in politics, the answer's got to be somewhere in the middle. The government does have to provide for a certain group of people in this country, but competition is good. Capitalism is good. The free market's good. Getting healthcare systems to compete to offer better service is great. Thank you for the call, Carl. We're going to move forward. Do we have another call, Jonathan?
John is in Bay City. John, good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, I was listening, and I wanted to comment on what Carl's talking about. We've spent winter in with a lot of our Canadian neighbors, and one of their biggest complaints is their health care. And a lot of times what we get done in a month, just like you just talked about, takes them 9 months to a year. So I would just say that you got to look at what others that are using that system and what they're going through.
Yeah, and the problem that we have, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound absurd, especially to I think this audience, but it really resonated with me. The skyrocketing costs of healthcare across the board are just insurmountable right now. And it deals, again, with the model of, we just wait till everyone gets sick and broken rather than preventing illness. I think about all the times that I've gone to a physician. I've never left my physical and then been brought right over to a dietitian who's right there to then talk about diet and exercise and things there. We just don't do it. Instead, I get 3 prescriptions to go and a statin and this and that, and we're going to try to deal with it from a medical point of view. The costs are absurd. I'm going to say something. I don't know if this is the right audience, Jonathan, but I'm going to say it. Someone had told me to watch this South Park, which was about the new peptides that are out, kind of the weight loss with Wegovy, Zepbound, etc. And everyone knows South Park can go overboard. But this episode basically took 5 minutes just to deride the American healthcare system of you got to go here, you got to go there, fill out this paperwork, do this. And it was so accurate that, I didn't know to laugh or cry when I got done with it. But John, your point is well taken. The countries that do provide health care, the folks there don't seem happy either. And the folks here don't seem happy. So we're still not doing it the right way. I think for the most part, people get the health care that they need, and we do take care of vulnerable populations. I just don't know how we're going to continue to afford it. And that's probably my biggest question.
Okay. That's all I have to say. Careful what you ask for.
Yep. Thanks for the call, John.
Thank you. Yep. Bye.
We're going to keep moving here. We've got Mike in Thomas Township. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning. Talked to you yesterday. I don't know if you guys listened to from 12 till 3 on WSGW. They have those three guys that are, have a pretty good show. Anyway, they said something yesterday that I knew nothing about, and it kind of fitted in with what we were talking about yesterday about the Democratic Socialist. And apparently that's not affiliated with the Democratic Party. Matter of fact, their goal and objective is to destroy the Democratic Party. And so I don't know if people realize, but Mamdani, whatever his name is, he claims to be a Democratic Socialist, and people are going to be in for a surprise, possibly. I don't know how much a guy can do because, a mayor just can't do things on his own. He has to have money coming in, and once they find out what's going on, maybe they'll start backing off on it. But I was really surprised. You guys are I really appreciate some of the shows that you have. Very educational.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when it comes to Mamdani, and people that know me know I'm a Democrat. I worked in Democratic politics. I don't align with him because I think things cost money. I'm a moderate Democrat who's socially liberal and fiscally conservative. I just don't think you can give everyone a free bus ride. I think buses cost a lot of money, especially in a city like New York. I think payroll and health insurance and gasoline and bus maintenance for a city that big costs a lot of money. So I question how you can say, oh, we're just going to make this free. I think it's a populist message that resonates. So you're right. He is running at a whole different level. But I saw two very fascinating things on this. One, there are a lot of Republicans that are celebrating him winning because they want to put that albatross around all Democrats next and say, this is what the party is today. This is what they look like. They are Democratic Socialists. Like, this is what's going on. Steve Bannon, though, was interesting. Bannon is a longtime Trump ally, supporter, someone who's been part of his inner circle. And he said, Republicans, and we got a call on this yesterday. Carl actually brought this up. Be careful what you wish for. And what he was saying was that populist message works. And it's a similar populist message to how Trump got elected. Trump did a very good job with the populist message, America first, and we're going to do this, we're going to secure borders. And he got this populist movement behind him. And Bannon was kind of warning, hey, this message is resonating with a lot of people, and people do want to see certain things. And he thought Mamdani was a pretty gifted politician to be able to do what he did and kind of run through Democrats and get elected. So it's a fascinating thing to watch, and I'll be interested to see how it plays out. Appreciate the call, but we are up for another break. We'll be back after these messages.
Whether they're doughboys,
Welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Flan filling in for Art here today. And we're taking your calls. We still have time for a couple calls. If you want to call, 989-752-6111. Again, 752-6111. But Jonathan says he has something for me, so I'm holding on to my chair tight to see what he's got in store for me.
Matt Flan, you are always talking about education. Education this, education that.
Absolutely.
You're going back to school.
Yes.
Online, CMU, right?
Yes.
I am a college dropout. Was going to Delta. COVID happened, shut things down. I do not learn well online at all. And ended up getting into the workforce, getting a job here, and just kind of ended up where I'm at now. I've thought several times about going back to school. Like, there are so many programs in place for people my age who are working to get back into things and finish a degree. What I want to know is if people my age are already in the workforce. They're already pursuing a career. They're already making things happen. Why should they go back to school? Why should I go back to school?
Well, we're going to need to clear an hour here. We have lots of time on this. So I started a new job too, and I will just give you an example. I have a leadership team of about 8 people, and I've said to them, I don't care who you are, what your education level is, and what you've attained. If you are satisfied with status quo, you're doing something wrong. The workforce is changing. The world as we know it changes. Technology changes. You have to keep going back. I have a lovely woman in her 60s who works for me who runs Soaring Eagle Water Park. She is very similar. She never finished her undergraduate degree. She's taking classes at CMU right now for that accomplishment, but more importantly because it helps her do her job. When we talk about education, it doesn't necessarily have to be college, and I think that's important. It could be the right training program. It could just be the right classes that help further educate you. One that I brought up and I see every day is the increased use of AI. And I'm not talking about Matt Fallon using ChatGPT Dent. Everyone thinks AI right now is ChatGPT because it's kind of become the Google of AI. AI can do so much right now, but most people, including myself, really have no idea how to utilize AI in their everyday job. So I told our team we're going to actually bring training into our entire leadership team to teach us how to use AI for our jobs. How do we use it to help construction management? How do we use it for human resources and workforce development? How do we use it to help accounting? How do we help it to problem solve? There's so much that's going on. So I would say in today's day and age, it's very competitive. Everything changes all the time. And people should always be trying to advance themselves further. I'll also say this, and the numbers don't lie. Again, not everyone's built for college, but every level of educational attainment is met with the fact that your pay increases. So if you have a JD or an MD, you make more than someone generally with a master's. Someone with a master's makes more than someone with an undergraduate degree. Someone with an undergraduate degree generally makes more than someone with an associate's, and so on and so forth. That is just generally how the world works. I'll also say, Jonathan, you're young, right? So you have a lot of time left in the workforce. What was different was, in the 70s, 80s, 60s, 50s, people when they entered the workforce generally were going to have one job or one career their entire life. Now people go through iterations of their career where they may be doing something different about every decade. And they say now on average a kid that's entering the workforce in their lower 20s is most likely going to have 3 to 4 careers. Well, I'm guessing that the education that you came in on career 1 is not going to be as relevant to career 2, 3, and 4, so that you have to switch it. But I would say that becomes a huge thing. The final thing that I would say and why I push people on the education, don't do it for me. Don't do it for the company. If I'm just talking to Jonathan Dent right now, I would say when we're off the show, I want you to go and look in a mirror. That's who you're doing it for. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You've proven that you're a consummate professional. You've proven that you're intelligent and can do a great job. You don't have to prove anything to anyone here at Connoisseur Media. You definitely don't have to prove anything to me. I like to challenge people of take that next step for yourself. What can you do for you? How can you make that next piece? You caught me on a subject I could talk on for years, but that at least gives you a little bit of my feel for why I think kind of continuing education is so important.
And I think it's tough to see that picture for somebody that's, because you see all these programs for people like 25 up. What is it, the Michigan Reconnect thing? It's tough to see that bigger picture of, hey, you might, the numbers say you're going to change jobs at least twice here in the next 30 years or whatever. It's hard to look that far ahead for someone my age, and I've researched it. I knew part of the answer at least. I wasn't just asking you to be belligerent. But
I don't think belligerent's the word.
Maybe
passionate.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's tough to see that and see an investment, which I understand that's why the programs are there. But it's also a time and effort investment too. And see where's the payout. I
will finish this with this thought for you. So every night now when I come home, I know that I have something kind of hanging over my head that wasn't hanging over before, that online school is sitting there. I'm in the CMU MBA program, which is online. It'll take about 3 years to complete. It's 36 credits. Each class is 8 weeks. So you kind of do the math. It's 96 weeks of school. And I've kind of said, okay, we're going to hammer this 1 week at a time. And I have 94 to go. But here's the biggest thing I've seen, Jonathan. I was really doing a lot of nothing with my time in the evening or on weekends, where I was just sitting there, maybe watching too much football, maybe watching too many movies, scrolling on my phone incessantly, making no progress in bettering myself as a human being, increasing my knowledge level, increasing my skill base. I'm 50 on the nose. What a privilege to go back to school. But I've found that, when I get done with an assignment, a quiz, reading, learning something, I'm like, well, I accomplished something tonight, which I wouldn't have otherwise done because I was just watching the ball game. So I've found that to be rewarding and kind of a splash in the face of, wow, for the last 25 years, I've probably wasted a lot of time. So something to think about. And, we'll talk more offline as I'm going to put you in a headlock and get you back to school. We'll be back after this.
Kapoco, powered by
Good morning and welcome back to the Art Lewis Show. It's Matt Fallon, and here to end today's show, I'm joined by an old friend, Mike Gwizdala, going to chat with us about the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame and a big event you have coming up Sunday. Mike, good to see you.
Matt, always good to see you. I didn't know you were doing what you're doing with the radio station, but I'm glad to be here, and thanks for squeezing me in for the next 5 or 6 minutes.
Absolutely. I got nothing on you compared to a broadcaster. I mean, you're the guy.
I've been doing it a while.
You have.
30 years I've been doing radio and TV.
I love it. So tell me about the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame is going to be celebrating their 34th banquet this Sunday, November 9th at the Bay City Doubletree. And we're really excited. We got a great group going in this year. As you well know, you have somebody very close to you that is in the Hall of Fame. Your dad, Fabian. So
the least athletic member of the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame, and in his memory, he will know it. He definitely the voice, but maybe not a phenomenal athlete. But that's one of the things I love, because this year you're putting someone else. I believe Dinah DeRussell is coming in this year for the President's Award, where you highlight people that may not have scored a billion touchdowns, but have had a tremendous impact on high school sports in Bay County, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a President Awards that we call. Jenny Thunberg is our president. She picks somebody every year and brings it to the board. And Dinah is this year. That President Award is for people kind of behind the scenes that you don't get to see a lot, but are ticket sales and bake sales and things of that nature. And like your dad was the voice of Bay City All Saints for back to when I was playing in the 70s. So Dinah's a perfect fit for the President's Award.
So where do people go if they want to see the Bay County Sports Hall of Fame? Is it something that you see online? Is it something tangible you can go to? Where do folks go and to kind of see the history of dynamic sports in Bay County?
Well, we've got a website, BayCountySportsHOF.com, with Gmail, BayCountySportsHallOfFame.com. But we've got a new place this year. We have moved from the Y, Dow Bay Area Family Y. We moved next door to the Historical Museum, the Historical Society. And we're going to have an open house there this Sunday before the banquet from 1 to 3. And if you want to come in and take a look at our new display of all of our plaques and our monitor and stuff. So we're very happy to be with the Historical Society.
And is there still time for people to get tickets to Sunday's Hall of Fame dinner?
Unfortunately, Matt, I think we have tapped out. You can email us, and we'll email you back at BayCountySportsHallOfFame.com. And we might be able to, but this is the biggest banquet we've had ever in the history of the Hall of Fame.
So I love that you said that. Why is it so big this year? Who's going into the hall that really sticks out, that's generating a big crowd?
Well, Dinah is one. She's very popular. We have 3 teams going in. The Pinconning Spartans volleyball team of '89 was state runner-up. The Delta College softball team of 1999, they were national champs. They're bringing a lot of folks. And the '91 Bay City All Saints baseball team, state runner-up. they're also going to be inducted because we always have teams going in, and then we have 7 individual inductees also going in this year.
That's amazing. Give us a flavor. Who are a couple of the individual inductees this year?
Couple of them that you probably will know. Denise Dashemsky from Bay City All Saints, a great softball player. Jim Scrocky from Bay City St. James. Dave Schwartz, Essexville Garber AD and football coach. Jim Urich, Bay City Western. Tom Herrick, football coach from Bay City All Saints. Christy Grushinsky Chesney for volleyball at Penn